and I was doing pretty good. And I said, well, I knew there was different kinds of intermittent fasting, so I wanted to play around and try some different things and see how that went. So I went from, like I said, the 16-8, then I went to 18-6, 18-hour fast, 6-hour window, which was still very easy because I could start at noon, just miss the breakfast, and then start eating at noon and finish at 6 o'clock at night. Now, I want to be very clear about this. When you miss a meal, that does not mean that you don't eat those calories. For me, for instance, okay, my BMR, basal metabolic rate, was 2,030 calories, or give or take, somewhere around there. If you do exercise on top of that, MyFitnessPal will adjust for that. So if you do 400 or 500 calories worth of exercise or something like that, or go for a walk and you get credit for those calories, it will allow you more calories to eat for the day, and that's what I went by. So anyhow, my base rate was 2,000 calories. So during that 6-hour window, noon to 6, I would eat the 2,000 calories. I wasn't skipping meals. I wasn't reducing your calorie intake. One of the things I started to find, which was very interesting as I started to shorten this window, was I didn't have time because I only had those 2,000 calories. Gradually, I started to eat better foods. I started to get rid of the crappy stuff and started to, because I only had so much time and I only had so many, I was focused on so many calories. And even when I did the exercise every day, which I tried to do as much as possible, and I got the 2,400, my breakfast is roughly 1,000, 1,100 calories now, okay? When you're looking at the 2,000, 2,400 calories, you don't have a lot of extra calories left. So you want to focus on the things that you can eat. You don't want to miss, you don't want to eat a bunch of crap and then, be left out. So this went on for a period of time. And my weight went from 403, and I'm going to say it was mid-May, so about 6 months. And I had dropped about 55 pounds, and it stuck for a month, or actually almost a month and a half. All right, drove me crazy. By that point I had gone to from an 16-8 to 18-6, finally to 20 and 4, 20 hours not eating, 4 hours eating, and it wasn't going anywhere, and I was getting a little frustrated with it. So this week I've started intermittent fasting, alternate day. So what that means is you have your calories one day, and the next day you don't eat at all. Now, some people purists call it a water fast, when all you can have during that 24 or that second day when you're not eating anything is just water, black coffee, unsweetened tea, something like that. I'm not a purist. There are some people who go the opposite direction, and they say you can eat 25% of your normal caloric intake. So if you're, like I said before, mine's roughly a little over 2,000 calories, about 25% would be about 500 calories. And I toyed with the idea of doing that, and I said, no, let me see if I can do it without it, just to see if I could or not. And like I said, I'm now on my second fasting day, and it's not that hard. You get hit with the hunger pains a little bit during the times when you would normally eat, but that might be more psychological. You're thinking, oh, it's time to go eat. I've got the hunger. Here goes my stomach growling. Got to go eat. And if you could fight it off, and it is a little bit of a fight, it takes a little bit of time getting used to it, but it's not too bad. I'm like I said, I'm getting through it. Today is, let's see, it's Wednesday. It's 20 of 8 at night, and I haven't eaten anything all day. Now, like I said, I'm not a purist, so let's go back to what I do. I want my coffee in the morning. I add stevia to it. Now, some people say don't use artificial sweeteners. Stevia is not artificial, it's a natural sweetener. No calories. So that should be all right. Now, some people I don't want to use the word triggered, but I don't know what else to use. Some people are, there's some conjecture about the taste of sweetness on your tongue, which can actually trigger your insulin levels in your body. They're still studying this, so I'm going to pass on it, and then when I'm going back to the purity thing, it's not something that I concern myself about, because along with that stevia that I put in, sugar-free French vanilla Coffee Mate. All right, You can have up to 2 tablespoons, and that's 30 calories. So what a lot of doctors will talk to you, what a lot of doctors will say, especially those that know about fasting, will say, this probably does not trigger you coming out of what they call autophagy. Autophagy is your body using fat for energy because you don't have any calorie, you haven't taken in any food, so it has to use something else, and that's how you're losing the weight, is because your body is, in essence, eating the fat from your body. That's why a lot of people do this. So I have my coffee, like I said, with the stevia and with the sugar-free French vanilla. Gotta have French vanilla. Coffee Mate. Toying with trying some other things that are also very low calorie, but right now that's all I'm using. All right. Then during the day, I'll have green tea with stevia. I'm a stevia junkie. I've used it in place of my sugar, which is one of the things I replaced way back in November, so I don't touch that at all anymore. I'd have that. I can have a BAI water flavored drinks and stuff like that. I tried several different flavors. They're really good. They're sweetened with stevia. There's another one. Couple of drinks that I have. Apple cider vinegar. It seems to have helped me. Normally, when you eat food, you get a sudden insulin spike, and then it comes back down a little bit later. And it's one of these ways that I have found that seems to work for me, and I'm not saying it works for everybody. It seems to work for me. Was to have 2 cups of water, 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. Now, apple cider vinegar is nasty tasting, and I've seen different ways of doing some things to add to it. And what I add to it: stevia, apple cider vinegar, a teaspoon of lemon juice, and I also add sea salt. Now, there's a couple of reasons for the sea salt, and I normally have that drink not too long after I have that morning coffee, and that is also one of the last things I have before I go to bed at night. The reason I have this is your body needs electrolytes. A lot of people think this water fast, you can't take in anything. Your body still needs electrolytes. Without the electrolytes, your body goes into it just does bad things. I don't know the science behind it that well, and I don't want to give any bad information. You can go look it up yourself, but there's a lot of talk that you still need those electrolytes, especially if you're going into a longer term fasting period, longer than like I do, the alternate day. Some people will go 2, 3, 4, 5 a week at a time without eating it before they go back again. I'm not really interested in anything like that. I'm just interested in doing this right now to see how this works for me. So this is kind of an experiment that I'm experimenting with, using myself as the guinea pig. Beyond that, let's see. Like I said, my diet, I don't really splurge as much as I used to. I've got some trigger foods that really hurt me when it comes to keeping the weight off. Bread, pasta, baked goods, especially donuts, and I love donuts. And there's a farmer's market not too far from me, and I'm in where I'm at in Pennsylvania is not far from the Amish country. So Amish country donuts are, let's just say 600-700 calories a donut. That is not too shocking. But anyhow, that kind of stuff, I'm very triggered by foods like that. So what I've done is, gradually over these months, I've gradually gotten away from certain things. I eat seldom, if ever, do I even have white bread. Every once in a while I do, like for a hot dog, for a hamburger roll or something like that. And I'll explain that in a short bit. What I have found, again, I'm getting no product endorsements on this, so this is all just me. These are the things that I like. There's something called Dave's Killer Bread. If you go to a Costco, I know here on the East Coast that Dave's Killer Bread is pretty popular, and I've seen that they have a website, so I don't know, in case you're interested. It's 21 whole grain bread. It's all organic and everything like that. It is 44 grams of carbs for 2 slices. Now you think, oh my God, that's really high, especially if you're trying to get away, you're trying to get into keto, which is no carbs at all. That's very bad. You don't want that or something like that. The flip side is there's 10 grams of fiber out of those 44 grams. which is a very high percentage, especially for bread and stuff like that, because a lot of times it's nowhere near that bad. And one of the other videos that I'd watched before had said that, you know, if the ratio is under a 5 to 1 ratio, that it isn't that bad for you or something to that effect. And these were, you know, doctors I kind of know and trust a bit. So I'm very careful with that. Let me stop right here and I'll pick it up in a short bit.